Hey Cub Science! Today we're going to be talking about pollution. And I know that you've heard quite a bit about pollution. You may have seen pollution in your schoolyard. You may have seen pollution on the side of the road. You may have even seen pollution that's possibly in the oceans. But today we're going to focus in with the Georgia Aquarium on one type of pollution that has happened called an oil spill. So let's see what the Georgia Aquarium has to share with us about oil spills.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Deep Sea Learning with Georgia Aquarium. My name is Olivia, and I'm with our education department here, and today we are going to learn about oil spills. All of the material you see in front of you is what we're going to use, and it can be found in your own kitchen or just by going to take a walk outside. We are going to create our own habitat and demonstrate the effects of what oil does to an entire ecosystem. Now, first, let's talk about what an oil spill actually is. When oil dumps into an environment, it's actually liquid petroleum being released. Now, this usually does happen in marine environments, so the ocean. Now, the big concern with oil spills is obviously the oil itself. It starts at the water's surface and makes its way down into the environment and all the way to the coastlines, affecting everything in its path. This includes animals like birds, and it also affects plants, even their root systems. Oil will get on sand and pretty much everything else in its path. Now, oil actually also makes its way up the food chain, even affecting humans. Now, if we are ready, I'm going to introduce our activity and show you how we can build our own habitat and our own ecosystem and add oil to that mix to show really just the effects of an oil spill to a habitat. All right, so the next step is going to add everything to our marine environment here. We're gonna add our fur and our feathers to the island or to your coastline, so they will be up on that rock. So the bigger the rock you have, the better. Now I'm gonna add the pine cones and the sticks and the pine straw and the leaves, just kind of around the island since it's not quite large enough. Most importantly, we wanna put the animals, the fur and the feathers, up on land. The next step is going to be adding our water. Now I have a very large bucket. The more water you use, the better. But you want to make sure the water doesn't come up all over your island or your rock. You want it to be kind of like a beach. So the water's going to come up to about halfway up to that rock. All right, so here we go. We're going to add our water. Perfect. The last step is adding our oil. You don't need too much oil, and I'll show you about how much to pour in. So here we go. Now the oil spill does usually occur pretty far offshore, so that's why I'm pouring it on the far side of this bin. And we're gonna see just how long it takes for it to reach the coastline. All right. Now, as I mentioned earlier, before I started the activity, what happens to petroleum in the water at first is it remains at the surface. Now, after weeks after the oil spill, petroleum will actually sink down into the water column, affecting all of the water column and marine life in the ocean. Now, all you have to do now is kind of wait for that oil to reach the coastline. My sticks and my pine cone are kind of acting as a barrier. That's why it's better to have the biggest rock you can find for your island. So the first thing I'm going to ask everyone to do is just reach in and kind of feel how the oil is affecting the different materials you have in the water. So we're going to reach in and just kind of feel our sticks. You can see they're absolutely covered with oil. But luckily, because we didn't have enough or have all the water, the fur and the feather did remain safe on the island. Now, what would happen though is those birds and those safe mammals on land will actually go into the water because they don't know it's an unsafe environment. So what we can do is we can put our fur and our feathers in the water, and we're gonna see how that oil affects each of them. All right. So you can see just how much this feather is coated with oil. And this is exactly what happens to marine birds such as African penguins. Now this is the same thing with our fur here. It's absolutely coated with oil. Now the next part of our activity is we're actually going to move to the cleaning and the cleanup side of the activity. Now, in the real world, there's 3 different types of methods used to clean up oil. The first one is containment. So maybe this string, right? We're going to try to block the oil from hitting the coastline. They use floating barriers called booms that actually absorb oil. This doesn't always work perfectly, but it is a type of method they try. The second method is chemical. They use chemicals to actually make oil more solid, so it's more easily removed. Now, the downside to using chemicals is you have to add chemicals to marine environments. The third and last way they clean up oil is the one we are going to try, and it's by physically removing the oil. So what we're going to take today is we're actually going to use our Dawn dish soap, get a couple napkins handy, and our sponge. So I left just a little bit of water in this bucket on purpose. Let's try our feathers first. So I have 2 feathers here that are covered in oil, and we're going to add some soap to our sponge. You can see the little birdies on the Dawn dish soap. That's what it's advertised for. So this is a physical method of removing oil, and this is what people actually do to animals. They are sitting out there and scrubbing their feathers, really trying to remove that oil from them. It takes a lot of hard and careful work when you're dealing with live animals that have been affected by oil. Try to get some water on it. So this is just one example of a cleaning technique. At home, I encourage you to try others. Try using the shampoo or the dish detergent, even laundry detergent. See what works best. Now I'm gonna leave it at that for a little while. And after you're done, there's a couple of things I want you to think of after you finish your own activity. What was the most difficult item to physically remove that oil? Was it the fur? Was it the feather? Maybe try the rock itself. This is something that people in the real world have to deal with. It's not just the animals, it's the entire ecosystem that's affected by that oil. Now, I hope all of you had a lot of fun in creating your own oil spill, and we learned about a couple different types of methods to clean our oil spill. If you didn't do it yet, I challenge you to do it at home or in your classrooms on a later date. Thank you everyone so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and maybe we'll see you around at Georgia Aquarium.
Thank you, Georgia Aquarium, for teaching us all about oil spills. That's a great activity that we can try at home. Next, we're going to talk about another type of pollution that you may have heard about. In our oceans, there's a huge problem with plastics. And yes, we use plastics every day. You may use them as drinking straws, you may use them as cups, and it's in almost all packaging that we have. In today's lesson, we're going to be learning a little bit more about plastics.
And welcome back to the Georgia Aquarium's Deep Sea Learning here on our YouTube page. My name is Maggie, and today we are going to be talking about solutions to pollution. So things that are affecting our aquatic environments in a negative kind of way, and how you guys can reverse that and affect it in a positive way using the trash that you see in your lives every single day. We are also going to be using the Next Generation National Science Standards, MSS 3-3, to be talking about this subject. Pollution is a word that everybody's probably heard about in their everyday lives, but do you guys know what it means? Pollution is going to be something that is going to enter an environment that it's not supposed to be in and harm it in a negative way. And a lot of pollution is unfortunately human caused, which means that people like you and me, whether we know it or not, can be negatively infecting the oceans all the way far away from our homes. So today we're going to be talking about ocean pollution, specifically how humans can cause ocean pollution. So from factories near your homes or trash that you guys don't throw away responsibly, those things through runoff, which is when the rain comes down and pushes everything on the ground into a local river or a stream, and eventually all rivers and streams lead to the ocean. So a whole bunch of different kinds of pollutants like dirt, air pollution, or just grime in the general area can make its way into the ocean and negatively impact the animals that are there. such as sea turtles. Some sea turtles love to prey upon jellyfish. And jellyfish kind of also look like a plastic bag that's floating through the water. So if you can picture the way that a jellyfish floats kind of like this, and the way that a plastic bag would float in the water, it also looks like this. So that sea turtle might wind up getting confused and decide to prey upon the plastic bag instead, which isn't going to be good for that animal's stomach. So plastic bags being said, a lot of ocean pollution is going to come from plastics. And plastic is in pretty much everything that we use in our everyday, such as our clothes, the cups, the plates we use, forks and knives, I don't know, whatever you guys can think of, such as computers, TVs, furniture, everything that humans deal with on a daily basis has some semblance of plastic in it. Now, plastic always begins like this. Very, very small. If you shake it, it kind of sounds a little bit like a maraca, because each of these tiny couple millimeters thick beads is going to be called a nurdle. And a nurdle is pre-production plastic, which means that these pieces of plastic will eventually go into a mold, and heat melts it down, and then it forms to that shape. So you can take these and you can turn them into a plastic cup, you can stretch them out, and you can do a little bit of manufacturing magic and turn them into the clothes that you're wearing. So a lot of these nurdles are going to accidentally get broken open and end up into the ocean. Also, nurdles, or plastics, once they're thrown away irresponsibly, do begin to decay, just like everything else. So as you might see a mushroom help break down a tree branch, plastics are going to break down as well, and they might wind up looking something like this. Now these are also nurdles that we have here, but this is just an example to show you guys just how small plastic can get inside of our ocean. So take a look at the screen that you guys are watching right now. We have something up here called the decomposition guessing game, and there's a lot of different kinds of items that you're looking at on the screen right now, such as a glass bottle, an apple core, a diaper, mittens, boxes, toilet papers, plastic water bottles, all those different kinds of things. I want you guys to pause the video here and take a couple of minutes to talk to your parents, your friends, whoever you might be with, to try to guess how long it takes these things to decompose inside the ocean once we've thrown them away. Now what I want you guys to do is look at the answers that we have put up for the decomposition guessing game on the screen. So if you look at things that are organic, which means that they naturally come from the earth, such things like the apple core, that's going to take 2 months to decompose to the point where you don't recognize it as an apple core anymore, which is good. That's how long it's supposed to take things to decompose. It leaves nutrients and it benefits the environment around it. You also have wool gloves, which take 1 to 5 years, which is still a long time, but wool is a natural thread that we can pull from sheep, which is again going to be an organic compound. But take a look at some things that are not organic, specifically that plastic bottle up there. 450 years is how long it's going to take that thing to break down beside the point that we can recognize it as a plastic bottle anymore. That's longer than me or you or anybody you know is going to be alive on the planet Earth. And again, once that plastic bottle breaks down, it's going to turn into things like microplastics, very, very small, and it's going to wind up again in the table salt that you guys are seeing on your tables for dinner every single day. Things also like that foam cup are going to take 50 years, aluminum cans, 200 years, and disposable diapers also take 450 years. Long, long time. So things that are not natural, like things with plastics in them, are going to take a lot longer than organic compounds. So what can we do to help this problem? That's kind of a really big thing to get your head around. Throwing away one plastic water bottle takes 450 years to decompose. There are going to be things that you guys can do to help stop the spread of pollution, to help stop the mass production of these plastics, and I'm going to go over them with you right now. You guys might have heard about the 3 R's before: reduce, reuse, and recycle. I'm going to turn that 3 R's into 4 R's for you, and we're going to put in front of reduce, reuse, and recycle, we're going to put refuse. Refuse means I'm not going to use it at all, so stop using single plastics, don't buy plastic forks and knives, and use a reusable water bottle instead of a plastic one-time use water bottle. There's also another couple of things you guys can do. It's called composting. With compost, you take your organic trash, such as that apple core, and you put it into a heap in your backyard, and as those things begin to decay, they turn into a natural fertilizing soil for your yards, and you guys can grow a small garden, maybe vegetables, flowers, whatever have you, that's going to be good for the environment, and that's going to be an excellent way to use your trash as well. Now, currently, because of the situation that we are in, we do have an at-home learning section on the Georgia Aquarium website that's going to be underneath programs and education. There is a link on that page where you guys can submit some artwork. So what I'm going to challenge everybody at home to do is to take recyclable items from around your house, such as plastic water bottles, aluminum foil, rubber bands, anything you guys can find that you might normally recycle or throw away, and turn it into a piece of art. It can be a sculpture, it can be glued together on a piece of paper. Take a picture of that art for us and upload it to our website, and we'll see if we can see you guys on our website. If you post it on social media, make sure you guys use hashtag Georgia Aquarium so we can find it and congratulate you on your excellent jobs.
Thank you to the Georgia Aquarium for sharing those 2 awesome videos. Now, Cobb students, are you up to the task? What we're going to do today is we're going to take those recycled materials from around your house and we're going to create artwork to upload to the Georgia Aquarium's website. Cobb students, I know you're going to do a great job, and I'm so excited to see what you have to offer us with your artwork.